It's a video game obsession for kids of all ages and one some parents feel unsure about. Fortnite is a third-person shooter video game that puts you in the middle of an island with 99 other players. You are forced to use your survival skills and your weapons to survive. Now, we touched on this as a tech trend last month. After that show, we were flooded with questions from parents asking if Fortnite really is appropriate for kids. They specifically asked for the input of my next guest. So here he is answering viewer demand. Dr. Matt Townsend is joining me.
Yeah.
Feel the pressure?
I totally do.
We're hanging on your every word.
I know.
Let me set it up. We received probably dozens and dozens of comments,
Yeah.
I would say. Let me set it up with a couple if I
Okay.
can. This one came from Studio 5 viewer Samantha. She said, I'm so confused why we let children play any type of people shooting people game. What good comes from staring at a screen, pretending to shoot another person? I'm disturbed at how easily we normalize the violence. Alyssa B said, I have mixed emotions. I love that my kids get along and play together, but they do it all the time and they are still shooting people. Brian had a slightly different perspective. He said, I'll be honest, I even let my 8-year-old play this. It's a great game, no gore. There's strategy involved, teamwork, creativity. I highly recommend it. So, with that on the table, we'll throw out the million-dollar question, Fortnite, friend or foe?
I'd say friend and foe. There's some kids shouldn't be playing it.
Really?
I mean, if your kid's already like sharpening a knife 24/7, I probably wouldn't let him near Fortnite. But honestly, if he's not doing that, he'd be playing cops and robbers. If he wasn't doing that, he'd be chasing animals and finding a dead animal and, you know, doing stuff.
Who knows what?
The reality is we used to do a lot of stuff. We used to run and we used to go explore and we used to have a lot more freedom than we do now. So where are the kids supposed to take some of these natural desires, natural abilities, natural curiosities? Where are they supposed to do that? I mean, we can keep restricting if we want. And again, it's teen rated. Yeah. So if you buy into ratings, then anybody that's not a teen shouldn't be playing it. But there's also some teens that shouldn't be playing it. And what I want to talk about is maybe what we need to do is instead of worrying immediately is get into it a little bit deeper and understand what's going on with the game, understand what's going on with us. What is our real fear? If it wasn't this, would it be the phone? If it wasn't the phone, would it be sexting? What would it be? Is it pornography that's going to be? There's going to be stuff the rest of their lives they're going to have to deal with. And this might be the perfect thing to start getting them to understand how to manage and be smart about their media.
You're suggesting parents ask themselves 4 questions.
Yeah.
Question number 1, what's my real concern here?
What is your real concern? What are you really, really worried about here? Is it the violence? And by the way, have you studied it? Have you played the game? Have you gotten into the game and sat and watched your kids play?
So just because it's a third-person, quote, shooter video game, you're saying you need to know more than that.
That's right. And one of the reasons I say this is because there is a lot of research on video games, and it's not all negative, and it's not all that violent games just make you violent. There are examples of video games helping you bond. There's ideas of video games helping some young women grow a stronger identity of who they are and create a better sense of interaction. There is bonding that can take place between family members that play video games. So understand why you're so concerned about it, because some parents next door to you don't care, but you might be freaking out. And if you're freaking out, that probably says a lot more about you than the video game. So go dig into yourself and figure out what it is that's really bugging you about it. And is it factual based or is it fear based?
Question number 2 taps into that bonding that you were talking about. You want parents to ask themselves, am I really connected? Am I really close to my child?
Yeah, see, to me, what I found is what scares me the most about my kids being downstairs doing this is that I'm not connecting with them when they're downstairs playing this game. I have 2 kids, I don't mind playing it. I have another one that's the youngest that I'm like, man, I kind of wish he was up here hanging out with us more. An interesting thing, a lot of us think that if they're going to go play a shooter game, then they'll eventually turn into a mass shooter. But there's a crazy statistic, totally true statistic, that says 26 of the last 27 last deadly mass shooters. So 26 of the last 27 mass shooters, guess what they all had in common?
What's that?
Fatherlessness. Not probably video game players necessarily, but fatherlessness. So a bigger fear for me isn't that they're playing a video game where they might be shooting at people. A bigger fear for me is, are they connected to people? Do they feel like they belong to the family? Are they a member of the family? Do you know them really well? Because if you know them really well and you have this fear, then let's not let them play the game. But if you don't know them and you're just fearful, then get to know your kid, for crying out loud, and quit blaming anything on a game.
It's powerful. That's good. That's good. Question number 3, do I understand why they want to play? Does it matter? Does it matter, the reason?
Kind of, because we just think they're just kids and kids don't know anything. Kids just want to have fun. And some of that's true. But I've gone down and sat and watched my kids play, and I know more why my kids play, because there's an incredibly creative side of this game. There's an incredibly, there's kind of the hunt side of the game. A lot of this isn't about shooting somebody, because sometimes you shoot them at such a distance, there's no real impact except you keep moving along. There is tension going on in the game. And by the way, a lot of these things are really important. There's a social side of the game, and I don't know where I can't remember if I talked about it on here, but I've seen my son be cared for after he was wounded, be cared for by some guy from New Jersey, some kid, saying, dude, I got you, I got you. And he built a little fort around him and protected him and gave him an elixir that helped him heal while he went and fought for him, and then eventually broke him out and saved him. And my son went on to like come in second place in the game. So some dude from New Jersey created this sense of camaraderie that's going on. And if you don't understand that that's attractive, this is why kids go to gangs. This is why kids join weird groups and do things with other people, because they want the camaraderie. And if this is happening in your basement, it may not be that bad of a thing if they're getting camaraderie.
So I'm trying to think of how to articulately and concisely say this, but there was a really popular sitcom on HBO many years ago that involved 4 single women in a big city, and one of the major themes was sex. And people were just up in arms, and it was a really racy show, right? It didn't hit my value markers. Very edgy. But there was a fascinating study that came out after the show had wrapped and concluded that said the real reason women were so attracted to this theme was because there were strong themes of friendship, there were strong themes of connectivity, and that's really what pulled people in. It wasn't the sex, even though that's how it was sold.
That's how hungry we are, right? So we're so hungry that we could then sell a television show around sex and it seems attractive, or we could sell a video game around shooting and that seems attractive. So maybe what we really ought to be focusing on is how do we meet those needs outside of this other media?
So there are bigger lessons that can come from something as simple as Fortnite.
And make sure you use Fortnite to teach those lessons. If you don't like how much time your child's spending on Fortnite, perfect time to teach them about time management on their media, because they will be battling that the rest of their lives. If you don't like the fact that they're free to talk about or talk to anybody on the web because they're using the ability to communicate through the game, then perfect time to have the conversation about safety, perfect time to have the conversation about violence, perfect time to have the conversation about what fairness is. Is it fair to trap somebody like that and then blow them up? Is that fair, son? So what you might want to do is start teaching some of the lessons, but notice, none of that can happen if you're not a part of it and if all you do is demonize it and make it bad. What is Fortnite today will eventually be, remember Pokemon last year?
Yes, yes.
We had the same disturbance about it, and I guarantee we'll have another one tomorrow. So this isn't going away.
Can we take a quick 30-second sidebar? One comment that caught our producer's attention came from a woman who wasn't expressing parental concern, but spousal concern. She said, my husband, who is almost 25 years old, plays this game. I don't mind the actual game, but when are you considered too old to play video games? How should I handle this? It really bothers me. To put her quote in proper context, she said there were some addictive behaviors in the past. This guy is now a father, and she's thoroughly concerned. What would you say to her?
Notice the smoke. I always talk about smoke and fire. The smoke is about the video game, and when are you too old to do it? None of that, by the way, is the real issue. The real issue is she feels unsafe because her addictive husband, who's had a history of addiction with video games, is starting a game that tends to be pretty addictive. Wouldn't it make more sense that we go talk about the addictive fear? Honestly, I would love a bunch of 90-year-old people to play Fortnite in the old folks center. I would love that because it might bring people together and create joy. But for this couple, that's a man that probably shouldn't be playing the game, honestly, and instead he ought to go raise his cute little new baby and be the dad he needs to be, simply because of maybe his history of addiction. I wouldn't even tease with that one. I'd be careful.
You were the right person to tackle this. So there's a reason why there is a cry out for you. So thank you. Hey, you do have a parenting class coming up we want to let people know about. You're asked all the time if you do these parenting coaching sessions.
We're finally doing it. We're doing it, and it's Raising Resilient Kids, and it's going to be on May 12th, 9 to 1. It's going to be at my office in Draper, so seating's limited. Just go to matttownsend.com and you can get access to the class. But go fast because we're already pretty much half sold out.
Yeah, that's going to be a full
awesome.
show.
It's going to be a great one.
Nice job, Matt. Thank you so much.